The sight that greeted Roger Young as he stepped through the interstellar gate left him speechless. Certainly, for the capital of a kingdom spanning several thousand worlds and populated by billions of human beings, the city spread out beneath his feet seemed almost modest, just over 50,000 inhabitants. Yet this demographic restraint felt deliberate, almost claimed as a virtue. Tregone City was organized around a small bay of deep blue, opening onto a perfectly calm inland sea. 7 hills rose above the whole, each crowned with a monumental building, as though the entire city had been designed to remind anyone who lifted their gaze of the political and spiritual order of the kingdom. A river, the Rayaja, and its many tributaries wound through the rolling terrain. Crossed by a multitude of elegant bridges, they flowed through the city before emptying peacefully into the bay. On the largest hill to the south, facing the water, stood the royal palace. A magnificent neo-Gothic structure, its ochre walls seemed to merge with the cliff itself. More carved from the rock than truly built, it housed the royal family, the royal chancellery, the chamberlain's offices, and all the ministries of the kingdom. Facing it across the bay, as if answering, or perhaps challenging it, rose the patriarchal palace. Built in the same ochre stone but in a heavier neo-Romanesque style, it contained the residence of the patriarch, the supreme religious authority of the kingdom of Tregone. On the hill to the right of the royal palace stood a building of bluish marble, sober and solemn in its neo-classical style, the Palace of the Princes. It housed the princes of the blood, the chamber of prince-electors, and prestigious guests visiting the capital on official or unofficial business. On the elevation to the left of the patriarchal palace rose the city's cathedral. Decidedly Baroque, it was pierced by vast stained glass windows in vivid colors, depicting scenes from the life of Saint Joseph, foster father of Christ, to whom the cathedral was dedicated. 3 spires dominated the structure. The central one, taller than the others, cast its shadow over the city below. Together, they symbolize both the Holy Family and the Holy Trinity, a reminder of the constant intertwining of dogma and power. At the center of the city, on the hill forming the northern point of an almost perfect triangle, stood the Royal Court of Justice. Built entirely of white marble in a rigorous neoclassical style, it ostentatiously displayed the impartiality the judges were meant to embody. The eastern point of this triangle corresponded to the second largest hill. There stood the Royal Parliament, a massive neoclassical building of bluish marble, capable of housing the chamber of more than 1,000 deputies of the kingdom, as well as the Royal Senate. Finally, on the western rise stood the buildings of the planet's local government, executive and legislative alike, grouped in a neo-Romanesque complex with brick walls whitened by lime. The interstellar gate itself was set on a small plateau below the royal palace. A broad staircase connected it to the city, another directly to the palace. The first steps were covered by a vast stone arch designed to control access. 3 statues crowned it, a lion at the center, a bear to the left, and an eagle to the right. 2 guards in tabards, bearing halberds, and the arms of Tregone, azure with a golden triangle, stood watch. Colonel Larson, dressed in civilian clothes, quickened his pace, his family following close behind. He cast a glance at his orderly, signaling him to keep up. Roger straightened immediately and caught up at a near jog. He had not come to the capital of the Triangle Galaxy for sightseeing. Though his superior had been invited strictly in a personal capacity by the king, close enough to belong to the monarch's inner circle, St. Antonin's Day was approaching, and the colonel could not afford to be unreachable by his regiment's command. That was where Roger came in, maintaining the link, ensuring continuity, remaining available without ever imposing himself. The choice had been obvious. Among the non-commissioned officers of his rank, Roger was the one who best mastered Esperanto and could operate in complete autonomy. Although the kingdom of Tregone was 100% Arpitan-speaking, a significant portion of the population understood Esperanto, and roughly 1 person in 1,000 spoke it fluently on the capital planet. The small group headed toward the Mont Princier, where the palace of the princes stood and where they were to be lodged. As a personal friend of the king, the colonel was granted a count's suite overlooking the city. From his room, Roger gazed at Tregone City for a long time. He would only remain there for 3 days and 3 nights, but he fully intended to make the most of it, taking as many photos as possible of places most inhabitants of the various human galaxies would never see with their own eyes. Tregone might be only one world among many, but Roger already understood this much. No journey is ever trivial when princes are being married, armies remain on alert, and shared languages struggle to contain humanities too vast for a single planet. There would be other capitals, other courts, other silences heavy with meaning. History, meanwhile, would continue on its path, patient and methodical. The Shadow of the Princes, Chronicles of the Red Kings, Tome 1. If this journey intrigues you as much as Tregone intrigues Roger Young, follow this account to continue the exploration. A like, a comment, or a share is one more gate opened between worlds. These chronicles are only just beginning.